Wow. If you're looking for gore galore, this movie's going to deliver to you in spades. What's happening? What's happening? What's happening? Welcome back into JC's Movies, where you can see all kinds of movie reviews and news here with me, JC, here today to break down The Monkey. That's right, just came out this past week, directed by Oz Perkins, produced by James Wan, and of course, based on a Stephen King short story. I think that's probably enough to hype people up already. Neon involved as the production company. They've been doing a great job with horror. The marketing campaign for this was solid. So I think there's been a lot of anticipation for this movie, and that included myself. I was really excited about this one, but let's talk about if it lived up to the hype here. And if you haven't been a part of one of my spoiler reviews, which this will be a spoiler review, so if you haven't seen this, go see it, pause this, come back, watch it afterwards. If you don't give a shit, that's cool too. But spoilers are bound here as we move forward. But if you haven't seen one of my spoiler reviews, I like to break it down with the pros, the cons, and the neither here nor there, which is kind of the stuff that I was mixed on. So we'll get into that momentarily. But before we do, just want to give you guys a quick reminder, if you would, just take a second, hit that thumbs up button on this video. That helps us hit the YouTube algorithm. It'll find more fans of this movie like yourself, more horror fans like yourself. And if you are one of those, be sure you're subscribed here to the channel, where we're talking horror movies, comedy movies, superhero movies, doing reviews, and talking about the news as well in the movie industry. So appreciate that if you drop the like and subscribe here to the channel. Comment your thoughts on the movie as well. I always appreciate those interactions, and those help us grow here at JC's Movies as well. But with no further ado, let's talk a little bit about The Monkey. Before getting into the pros and cons, just kind of some general thoughts here. Like I said, directed by Oz Perkins, written by Oz Perkins, and Stephen King, of course, gets the writing credit as well. Produced by James Wan's production company, Theo James, Tatiana Maslany, Christian Convery, kind of the main stars, but you do get some really good ones that pop up in here. Elijah Wood being one, Oz Perkins in a cameo as well. So pretty good cast in this movie overall. I think that one of the main things you're going to like about it is the way that it's shot is great. The way that the effects are displayed are great. Like I said in the cold open there, gore galore, carnage candy, whatever you want to call it, this movie absolutely delivers that. The only thing that I would caution you to going in is probably it's not necessarily going to be a movie that frightens you. You know, the scares aren't necessarily there if you're looking for something like that. The horror in this movie comes from that gore, comes from a little bit of the tension, but there's not necessarily any quote unquote scares. Actually, I found myself, laughing more times than not, which if you look it up, I think it's listed as a dark comedy, and I think it more fits into that realm, a dark comedy / horror, but I would, put the dark comedy aspect of it first. But if you know that going in, it might help you to enjoy the film a little bit more. I think I was expecting a few more scares, but nonetheless, I thought that this was super well done. So let's get into talking about it here. Let's start off with the neither here nor there, and then we'll go to the cons and wrap up with the pros. All right, so neither here nor there. Things that I was a little bit mixed on here as I dive into my notes here from The Monkey. And of course, we'll wrap up with my rating for the movie at the end of the review here. But the main character narration to provide a lot of expedition to introduce the characters kind of opened up the film. And that narration was present throughout, which doesn't really hit me one way or the other. That's why it's here in the neither here nor there section. But depending on how you feel about narration throughout a movie, that might affect you one way or another. And then, you also learn that the monkey requires someone to turn the key, which is something that the narrator explains following, one of the deaths in the movie. But that seems kind of like an easy solution. Just, hey, nobody turned the damn key, and this movie's over. But I think they do a good job throughout the movie, because this was early when I made this note. Later in the movie, they do a good job explaining why someone would continue to turn the key, why someone would want the monkey, and you're particularly relating to the two characters in this story, the twin brothers that we follow, Bill and Hal. We have a 25-year time jump after the boys throw the monkey in the well after another death in the movie. But why would it stay away for 25 years, and what made it return? I never really was fully under grasping, what makes this monkey pop up? Why did it go away for just a random number of years, which in this movie is 25, and then pop back up? I was curious as to that, and I don't know if this movie ever really gives us an answer to that question. It's kind of left open-ended, I guess. And then this one right here is the one that really got me, because there's an estate sale, the monkey's there, and you see somebody come up by the monkey, and this guy's got long hair, and you can barely see his eyeballs, but I'm looking, I'm like, holy shit. I'm like, that's fucking Corey Cunningham. And that's what I made in my notes. I said, did Corey Cunningham just buy the monkey at the aunt's estate sale? This motherfucker is popping up again. And no offense to Rowan Campbell, I believe is the actor's name that played Corey Cunningham, but Halloween fans, because I think the majority of us we're not the biggest fan of Halloween Ends, with the Corey Cunningham character being one of the main reasons, at least in my aspect. And it sucks for Rowan Campbell because anytime he pops up, I think Halloween fans are going to be like, there's that motherfucker Corey Cunningham right there. So that was there for me. And then why are there cheerleaders celebrating the real estate agent's body being wheeled out was another thing that I put in the mix. Just kind of some weird, there are some weird things in this movie like that you're just like, the fuck is going on with that? I got another one in the cons here we're going to talk about. So let's go ahead and shift gears now. That's the kind of the stuff that I was mixed on. Let's talk about some of the cons. And there's not a lot of negative points for me in this movie. One of them I kind of talked about there in the cold open was that I was expecting it to be a little bit more scary than it was, but I think it does, deliver some horrific aspects with the gore and the themes of death that it's going for though in there. But I was pleasantly surprised with how much I was laughing at the movie though too. So it's a catch-22 there. You might want to be a little bit more scared, but also I'm never mad about laughing. That's my two favorite genres of movies is horror and comedy. So that's fine. The cons here. Here's one of those that I was talking about. That's one of those things that's kind of like surreal, just out of left field in the movie. It's why was the one brother being bullied by a group of girls, and they're knowing the things that his brother said, like is he feeding them information? And also the first time you see him, they're like in the boys' locker room. I think they're in a locker room. Like why the fuck are they in that locker room? And then it happens again a few scenes later with the bananas and stuff, and it's almost like it feels like a dream. It feels like the main character Hal's dream, because it's shit that his brother picks on him for, but then he goes to school and this group of girls is there. So it's just this weird, surreal feeling. I don't know. It just didn't really land for me. I never understood what they were going for. Weird scene for me there. Full disclosure, they recorded this once and the video kind of crapped out because I don't know what was going on with my mic. It was all crackling and shitty. So hopefully this is sounding better this time, and hopefully everything still flows good together because I've had to redo this a little bit. I found out while I was going back and editing it. So, full disclosure, this is kind of a second go with this. So hopefully it's still flows freely. But the other con that I had here was that the brother, Bill, his only character trait throughout the movie seems to be like being a bully / asshole type character. And it's just one note throughout the movie. He gets a little bit of redemption there in the final, seconds of his character being in the movie. But I think when you have a character that's, really only played one way throughout the movie, that's not a knock on the actor that played, of course, both Bill and Hal's adult version. I think he did a good job having to portray two different characters. It's more just the way that the character was written, the way that the character was conceived, that is him. He's just a bully / asshole, one note throughout the movie. And then this one I just kind of found funny is once we see you reintroduced to Bill, he feels the need to wear their childhood suit again that he wore when they were, going to all the funerals as a kid. And I'm just wondering, why the hell would he feel the need to do that? Because you see him in this damn crop top ass childhood suit that he's trying to refit to kind of make it fit him again, and it's like, why the fuck does he feel the need to wear that again? I don't know, but it was a nice little bit of a comedy for me. And then I think the other con that I have here, the last one, is just not the best ending. I think when you're going for what it seemed like this movie was going for, to the point where even the poster says everybody dies, and that's fucked up. I think you should have went with the full out Final Destination style ending where essentially no one survives. And I think you get kind of a little bit of a happy ending, I guess, between the father and the son, even though it's kind of like post-apocalyptic shit happening around them. You still get a little bit of a happy ending, and I just would have gone a different way myself personally. But it's kind of fitting because I am a Stephen King fan. I know a lot of you guys are probably fans of his work as well. But the one thing Stephen King's usually criticized for is the endings to his books. So it's almost fitting that a movie based on a short story of his, one of the critiques I have is the ending. So that's there in the cons. And then now let's move on. Let's talk about the pros here, because there are plenty of pros, and this is my longest list of things that I have to talk about in this movie. Like I said, the kills are great. The effects are great. From the very opening, you're introduced to that, and you're going to see what you're in for as you get a great opening kill with a harpoon and, disemboweling a guy. And then the next up kill that you get is a babysitter decapitated at a hibachi restaurant. It's just fucking insane. And what's really cool about that babysitter when you go to the funeral is you get a Stephen King Easter egg, a misery Easter egg, as her name was Annie Wilkes, which, of course, is the character that Kathy Bates played, was the nurse in the Stephen King story. And then I think the mom's speech after the funeral of that babysitter really, to me, conveys kind of the theme of this movie. And not only that, but probably more so the theme that Stephen King was going for, the things that he was tackling when he wrote the original short story, as she's talking about, death and death being random and everyone's going to die. You're going to die. I'm going to die eventually. All of this stuff. And for me, someone that's kind of had anxiety about death throughout life, I could see why Stephen King wrote this story, and him kind of gripping with that, coming to terms with that, and trying to wrap his head around such a crazy concept as of death. And I think that that's what this movie does as well. So I really like that little speech from the mom after the funeral there. Thought it was a nice touch having Bill destroy the monkey, or Hal destroy the monkey and trash it, but then it shows up in Maine at the aunt and uncle's house once they are there. Another smart move by Hal, even though it's super sad because you feel sad as shit for him, is that he doesn't really have any friends, doesn't really have any family as an adult, because he's so scared of the things that happened when he was a kid and people got close to him. So he tries to avoid that at all costs, even to the point where he only sees his kid once a year. And it's something that he worked out in the custody process to try and stay away and hopefully protect his kid. Sad, but I mean, if you're someone that was dealing with this, that's actually, a pretty smart move. And then Elijah Wood sighting, right? You gotta love seeing him pop up in horror. I think he does such a great job in the space, and I didn't even know that he was going to be in this. It's a brief cameo, but when he popped up, I was like, hey, Elijah Wood sighting. So I had to note that one here with the pros. And then no off-screen deaths. Let me hammer that home one more time. No off-screen deaths. And to me, that's just chef's kiss, because that's just something that bugs me personally. I know a lot of people like to call it, theater of the mind or whatever, when you see the lead up to a kill and then you get a cutaway and then you see the aftermath of the body, and it's kind of left to you to kind of process in your mind, oh shit, how did that body get like that? Some people find that, truly horrific. And I understand, but to me, it just kind of feels like a letdown. Like, I want to see it and see it happen. That's the horror aspect that I'm there in a horror movie for, personally. So I love the fact that there's no off-screen deaths, and you get the gore, you get the carnage candy, all of that good shit, and the effects are really well done as well. And of course, it's really well shot, well directed by Oz Perkins, who continues to knock home horror movies out of the park. Nice twist, I think, in the third act, because one of the things that I had in the neither here nor there section is, why did this monkey return? And I still think that we don't know the reason why it waited 25 years, but I think that one of the reasons that it returned, we find out here in the third act, which was really nice, because up to this point I was kind of like, what's really the story here, other than this monkey showing up banging the drum and people dying? What's exactly the story that we're telling here? And then we get this twist in the third act that kind of revealed it to me. And I'm like, oh, okay, I get the shit. Okay, that's good. I like that. Because the twist is that Bill, the twin brother, had figured out that Hal, the brother that was being bullied, wanted to kill him. And so he told the monkey, hey, I want to kill my brother and turn to the key. But the monkey, much like death is in real life, that's why it says, like life on the box, death doesn't, you don't get to choose when you die. You don't get to choose who you die. You don't get to choose when death comes. All of those things. And the monkey, of course, is kind of a symbol of that. So instead of killing his brother, he kills his mom. And when they go to throw the monkey in the well, Bill had realized that and went back down into the well to try and retrieve the monkey, because he wanted to have revenge on his brother, because he's the reason that their mom died. So the monkey's not there, but the key is. So I guess the fact that Bill still had the key is the reason that the monkey returns and shows back up. But I still don't understand why it was gone for the 25-year period. But the reason that so many people are dying in this town in Maine is because Bill is constantly turning this key, trying to get it to kill his brother, and it's killing pretty much anyone but his brother. Everyone in the town's dying, essentially. Even to the point at the end, he's trying to force the monkey to bang the drum without turning the key, and it creates just this post-apocalyptic type atmosphere around them almost, which is pretty crazy. And then the Corey Cunningham character, which I know his name in the movie is not Corey Cunningham, but damn it if he's not always going to be Corey Cunningham to me when he pops up and I see him now after having to see that shit in Halloween Ends. I think his name in the movie was Thrasher, but he has this obsession with the monkey after he sells it to the brother Bill. And I think the fact that where you see his obsession with the monkey to the point where he tries to come back and retrieve the monkey at the end and get it back shows that the monkey has some kind of supernatural allure that it can put on people. Because for him, he says it reminds him of his dad. Obviously, Bill's obsessed with the monkey. There was a period where Hal was kind of obsessed with the monkey earlier in the film. So I think that all of those things really showcase a little bit about what this monkey's about, even though you hadn't seen it a lot throughout the movie. It kind of, you have to read between the lines to pick up on that, but I like the way that they use that character to kind of illustrate that towards the end there. And I think, the final point that I made here is love the runtime of this movie. Doesn't linger on, gets in, tells what it has to tell, and gets out under 90 minutes, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, when you don't include credits. So all in all, man, I really enjoyed the hell out of The Monkey. It's one of my favorite experiences so far this year for a movie, for a horror movie. I think it's super well done. I think Oz Perkins continues to be a great horror director, and I think a lot of people will love this movie, particularly those that are huge fans of Carnage Candy. You're absolutely going to be a big fan of this movie, and I really enjoyed it. I recommend it to you if you haven't seen it. Go check it out. As far as my rating, like I said, it's going to rate pretty highly. I'm going to land on an 8.5 for The Monkey. That's where I'm feeling about this one. But like I said, throw it in the comments. Let me know your rating for this film, how you felt about it. Always appreciate those interactions. Be back for some more horror reviews in the near future and some 2025 movie reviews as we progress through the year here on JC's Movies. And if you want to catch all those, be sure you got that subscribe button click so you can get them right into your feed, and hit the like button. Give this video a thumbs up before you head out. That helps a ton with that YouTube algorithm. Can't get that shit out with that YouTube algorithm, if I could talk correctly there. Trying to get that out too fast there at the end, but I really would appreciate that. And just like I appreciate you tuning into this one, and I will catch you on the next one.